Hello everyone, welcome to Almighty Tricks. In our last video, we have created one lib folder, and in that lib folder, we have created i18n.js file. So in this JS file, we have initialized the i18next package, but we haven't used this one because to use this one, we need to import this i18n.js file in app.js, or we can import in index.js, because when we start this application, this index.js will load or app.js will load. Okay, so let me put in app.js. So I'll import i18 next. So I need to import this one in app.js. Okay, now whenever we'll start the application, then it will run. It will initialize this library. Okay, now what I'll do, so in this video, what we are going to do, so we'll be creating one working code where we can select the language from the drop down, and based on the language selection, it will change the content of this website. Okay, so let me create one folder called components. So in this component, I can have another folder called navbar. So I'll be creating one navbar here, and in this navbar folder, I can have one file called navbar.jsx file, and I can have another file called styles.css. Okay, let me write the navbar code. So what I'll do, I'll be not writing from the scratch. Let me Google it, any navbar code if we find. Let me do one thing. I can go to chatGPT. So from the chatGPT, we can generate, let's say, create dark blue color navbar and put a select box with 3 options. Okay, it is creating. So let me copy all this thing. Let's say I'll copy this CSS. Let me put it in style.css. Okay, now let me copy that HTML element. I'll copy this nav. Let me copy this one. So I'll put this, let me create here const navbar equals to, which will export default navbar. Okay, it will have the return type, and I'll paste here. Let me format it. Okay, now what I will do, so I need to import this style here. So to import this, import style spelling I need to change, rename STY. Okay, STY styles from dot styles.css. Okay, now let me add this navbar in the app.js. So in the app.js, I can have this navbar, and I need to import it. Import navbar from, it will be in components navbar, then navbar. Let me save it, then let me check whether it is working fine or not. Yeah, it is coming. Okay, but here something is, it is fine. We no need to go in detail. So this is option is there. Okay, so let me remove all this thing. Okay, let me remove in the navbar. What I'll do, I'll remove this, and I'll put here Almighty Tricks. Okay, and the options, the select box, let's say this one will be the English, this is Hindi, and this one is Spanish. So I'll put quotes EN, then Hindi will be HI, Spanish will be ES. Okay, now let me do something here. Let me change some color. Let's say, okay, let me put this color only. Okay, now let me save. I'll go to here. Okay, now this drop down is here. I can have Hindi, Spanish and English, and this is my header. Okay, now let me do one thing. Let me put some text in the app.js. Let's say let me have center tag. Inside the center tag, let's say I have h1, and I can have some text like hello everyone, welcome to Almighty Tricks YouTube channel. Okay, now let me check whether it is, yeah, it is coming now. So we should not hardcode this text, any of the text we should not hardcode while we are writing any code for internationalization. So for that, what we can do, we can have one text JSON file. Let's say this is home page, right? Let's say home.json. Okay, so I can have some title, right? Title. So I'll copy that text. So I'll copy that text where it is. Okay, paste it here. Similarly, I can have this home.json file in each languages. Home.json file. Okay, let me copy that structure. Okay, now what I'll do for Hindi, let me go to translator and let me translate this string English to Hindi. Okay, sabhi ko namaskar. Okay, let me copy this. I'll put that text here. So this is for Hindi. Let me copy for Spanish as well. Let's say Spanish. So this is for Spanish. Let me copy that. Okay, and paste it here in the Spanish. Okay, now it is done. So now I'll go to navbar. Sorry, I'll go to app.js file. So what I'll do, I'll make it dynamic. Okay, I should not hardcode it. So using this library, React i18next library, it has one hook called use translation. Okay, so I'll use this translation to make it dynamic. So we can have constant, and it has one method called t, and I can use translation, and I'll pass the file name. Let's say home. Okay, and I need to remove this. Okay, then what I'll do, I'll remove this hard-coded thing. So use t and pass the title. So it is picking this home.js as a file. Then we need to check which key we need to, or which properties we need to show. So this is for title, right? So I'll use title. Okay, now if I save and if I see here, it is not showing properly. Why? Let me check. Okay, English is there. I need to use this decorator. I need to use. Now if I see, now it is dynamic, right? Now if I change something, it should change to specific language, right? If I change to Spanish, then it should show the Spanish language. For that, what I can do, I can go to navbar. Here I need to put the action. Let's say on change action. So in on change action, I can have this, not this, handle change. Here I need to pass the event. Okay, so I can have const handle change, which will take event type. Okay, and what I need to do, how can I change this language? So for that, I need to use use translator, not translator, translation, then React i18next, then I'll use this hook. So const and it is one method called i18n. So use translate. So here basically I'll not use any kind of file, because I no need to translate any text here. Okay, just I need to change the language. So for that I can use i18n. Okay, now why it is showing error? Const. Okay, now what I'll do, use translation, not transition, use translation. Okay, let me copy it, use it, then okay, now what I'll do, so I'll change the language, i18n dot change language, then I'll pass the selected language. So event dot target dot value. Okay, otherwise it should be English by default. We no need to use this one, because we in the configuration or in the i18 dot js file we have mentioned the English, so it will take the default language, so we no need to do that, but still I am checking. Okay, now it is done. Let me check whether it is changing or not. So currently it is in English. Okay, so now if I change to Hindi, then it is changing to Hindi. Let's say I'll change to Spanish, then it should change to Spanish. Okay, so this is all about for this video. Okay, so in the next video we'll be creating one registration form. So in that registration form we'll be having 2 to 3 fields, and based on the language selection it will change the content. So stay tuned. See you in the next video. Thank you for watching.